generational wealth, buy land, pool your resources, make sure you're owning it, ownership, ownership, ownership. We get it, right? There's so much about that that has been very helpful throughout the Black community, especially for the last like 5 to 6 years. But the thing is, if we were truly owning land and owning property like we say we are, we would have more property as a collective, right? We can look these things up, and we're still lagging behind every other race. So my next question is, how helpful is it for us to continue to push the narrative of purchasing land and pushing property? Now, don't get it twisted. I think that there's value in that, but I feel like buying land and ownership is a natural consequence of a cohesive, ethnic, thriving group. And by that I mean, how are we, just think about it, like how are we going to own all of our land? Let's say we have a hypothetical community of 100 people. How are 100% of those people going to own land if most of them aren't even making enough money to purchase the land, right? But let's say they were making all that money, and all these 100 people in this community that is impoverished, that lacks self-love, that has self-hatred tendencies, that aren't being mentally supported, their mental health is lacking, and they're also, a lot of the people in this community of 100 people don't even realize, right? Like don't even realize what the hell the problem is. So we're giving them money and we're telling them buy land, and that's going to somehow miraculously fix all our problems. And for me personally, I don't think that's the panacea that people are pushing it out to be. And I'm saying that because even if all of us got the money right now to own our own land, own our own schools, own our own this, own our own that, we're still missing that collective sense of community, respect, honor, and allegiance to one another. I feel as though that's a bit too lofty of a goal for where we're at, right? We are not thriving in terms of our mental health, our physical health, our spiritual health, and our health as a collective. There's so much about the Black community where we've kind of got lost and we've kind of forgot about how we naturally are, and we naturally function best in tribes, right? That's just human nature. Even this video I'm making is for people. You're watching it, another person. The music you listen to is put together by another person, right? You might be thinking of a presentation you need to put together for tomorrow for your boss. We're such a collective and tribe-like people, and we've always moved that way. And I feel like with capitalism and the individualistic nature of wealth attainment has really run rampant throughout the Black community, to where we're neglecting so many of the other more fundamental steps to get there first. And in my mind, I'm not anti purchase your property, own your land, and all that stuff. Absolutely. But my thing is, if we're truly trying to find solutions for us as a whole and really try to remedy some of the issues that we have that's really plaguing our minds, right? Because it's our minds more than anything else. I don't see why purchasing property or how purchasing property is going to fix that. I think the focus should be less on purchasing property and more on gaining respect and gaining back, seeing the humanity in one another. Caring about whether your next door neighbor, who is this old Black woman, whether she ate today, does she have enough sugar in her closet, right? Did she get to her medical appointment? I think we need to start caring more about each other and being that point of contact, like checking in with one another. I think that helps foster that sense of community that we're missing, right? Because forget about what everybody else thinks about us. We know what goes on in our community. Like we know that and I live in a Black neighborhood, right? And it's mostly older people where I live, but it's a lot of respect here. It's super clean here. People would think, oh, you live in a Black area, I'm sure the roads are dirty, this, that. No, this is probably one of the cleanest neighborhoods I've ever lived in, right? Just because it's a Black neighborhood doesn't make it synonymous with dirty or impoverished or anything of that sort. I felt the safest of anywhere that I lived in New York, in the neighborhood that I live in now. And we know these things about our community, but we also know there are other sides to that. We do know we got Pookie and Ray Ray shooting shit up, right? We do know that we have the YNs nowadays who don't give a damn about whoever. And my thing is, how do we as a collective sell Pookie, Ray Ray, and the YNs on the fact that your mind is impoverished, your mind is in shackles still? How am I going to tell them to pool their resource? Pookie doesn't give a damn about Ray Ray. Pookie will gun Ray Ray down in an instant if Ray Ray looks at him wrong. So my thing is, like, if we're supposed to really be caring about us as a collective, how can I pull you up by shoving down your throat to purchase property and buy land? And the only reason why I'm making this video on land ownership, property ownership, generational wealth is because I feel like there's a huge narrative around that in the financial and like the thriving Black spaces. And I'm here for it. Anything that gets us together, doing something positive, it's uplifting and it gives us that sense of community. I'm here for it. I love it. But I think that the problem is a little bit deeper than that. And I feel like, again, like I said earlier, ownership for the average Black person is a little bit too lofty, right? Because again, we're usually not making that. We already know we're not making the proper money to even get that. And sometimes we are also victims, or many times we're victims of redlining, where we'll get higher interest rates, higher everything just because we're Black, right? But also, we can't look at it in such an individual way. If we want to truly own land and we want to really like own certain neighborhoods and we own this block, like, you know, how other ethnic groups do, as they should. If we want to own our blocks, we have to do that as a collective. So how am I going to get my next door neighbor, the one down the street, as I just sit here and think, the one down the street, there, who's all interested in buying it, but do they trust me? Do we have trust in the neighborhood? Do we have trust amongst one another? Do you look at me as your kin, or am I just that Black girl who makes videos? Am I your sister, or am I somebody you feel like you have to protect yourself from? Am I somebody that you want to help really be in her purpose, or am I somebody that you'd rather support from afar? That's what I'm talking about. And I think that's really the crux of the issues that we face as to why we are not as collective and we don't function really as a proper thriving ethnic group should. Like, look at the Amish. These people, the way that the level of allegiance that they have to one another needs to be studied. The Jewish needs to be studied. And it has nothing to do, like, yeah, there's some about love and all that, but it's not even about love. For me, it's about honor, respect, and allegiance. Your kin comes first. It comes before anything. And if you can't even see the humanity in me, like if I'm struggling with something and my Black brother walks past me with my bags and with all this and doesn't even blink an eye, bat an eye to try to help me, or if he's struggling and I don't even try to help him, that's a breakdown within the community. So how am I going to get the trust of him, or how is he going to get my trust if we can't even have just a regular functioning kind of relationship with one another? So I feel like the shift needs to be on community building rather than just like, oh, purchase a property, purchase that. Because like I said, if 100% of all of us, or if all of us get the property today, okay, yeah, I guess our wealth rises, which is great, but it's not just about money, right? Money, we can't just throw money at it and think that that fixes us from the root. We have problems. And it's not just about our wealth. Yes, wealth fixes things, but still we'll have no political power, right? Because usually when we have representation in a political arena, it's, you know, all skin folk and kinfolk kind of situations, right? Which is why I'm a big advocate on doing things on a local level. I think that has a greater push than on such a governmental high order level, because there's just so many different barriers put in place specifically for you and me so that we can't hit a certain level. And you know what? That's okay. I'm not even trying to dismantle that at this point. Maybe we should, but my focus is more on what can we do as a community? What can we do as a whole, right? The Amish, they're not going to the government asking about this and that. The Jewish, if something happens to their people, they will rally around them like crazy and fix it and have some sort of legislation passed tonight if somebody violates a Jewish person. But violate me, there's nothing will happen. Somebody throw me on a t-shirt and call it a day. So it's like, there's so much about us where we've lost respect, we've lost footing in that area. And that's just what it is. Maybe at some point, let me know down below, maybe at some point we'll regain that. We'll be a respected people. We'll be a respectable group again. But as right now, it's like our home is broken up. Our home is messed up. So how are we going to, again, do the last step? Like for me and me personally, I think that purchasing property and ownership and power and control is the last point of a thriving ethnic group. There's so many things that first have to happen, like caring for one another, respecting one another, being there for one another, seeing the humanity in one another, looking at each other and listening to the kind of music that we listen to, like Shoot 'Em Up or FB's Get Money and the Sexy Red and all that, like all that craziness that we listen to. And I'm not gonna sit here and act like I'm holier than thou. Like I don't listen sometimes, but sometimes when I'm hearing, I'm like, damn, this is so destructive. This is so And it's so potent as well. Like, you'll be singing the tune, humming the tune, and it's just like, you know, you kind of feel convicted a little bit, or at least I do when I listen to that kind of music. Like, damn, let me turn to something else, right? Let me put on a little Erykah Badu. Let me put on some India Arie, because it's just like the music nowadays, which is it's such a big thing for us. And it's like, if we allow certain things like that to infiltrate our minds, it poisons us. It just does, right? We're already not really eating that well. So many of us live in food deserts. And I know I seem like I'm going off, but it's going to come back. So just follow me. We're living in food deserts, right? So our minds aren't even right. There's such a huge connection between the gut and the brain, which is a whole nother video. But it's like, if your mind is not well, your gut is out of whack, meaning you're probably not eating well. You're not eating your whole foods. You're not eating your vegetables, and you're not eating your fruits. Right? And there's so much that happens within the mind, and specifically the Black mind, because we probably have the worst diets. And I'm only saying that because us as Black women, we're usually overweight. Okay. And I've taken into account the fact that we hold on more muscle, and we're, you know, a little more built, have greater bone density than other races. Cool. But I've taken that into account. We're still big. Right? Meaning that we're still holding on and eating a bunch of processed foods. We're eating the chitlins and the pork and all this crazy stuff and the fast food. We got to stop. Because it's like, how can we as a collective also think that we're about to fix anything if we can't even have control over ourselves and things that we do? Food runs us. Right? Like, the things that we want to consume, the things that we hear, the things that we listen to, we're all hypnotized. We all drink that Kool-Aid. So we're a subdued group. We're a group of people who is just kind of functioning, but there's a part of us that has been that has gone offline. So again, how are we going to, as a collective, own stuff if my mind is not even functioning at its most decent capacity? Because I also believe the health, like actual physical health, what we ingest, helps us function better as a peoples as well. Like, if we got more healthy and we took our diets seriously, like whole foods, unprocessed food, fruits, vegetables, we'd be thinking more logically. Think about Ray Ray and Shoot 'em Up Tebow, right? Shoot 'em Up Tebow been eating McDonald's since he was yay high, and he still is. Think about what type of havoc that wreaks on the mind. He's not okay. There's a level of insanity that some of these people have, and there's so many traumatized people in this community as well that we don't even realize, because we're just so used to anxiety, depression. We don't talk about how people unalive themselves, right? Or overly intoxicating themselves. Liquor stores on each corner, and we're in them. I look at them, I see them, and we go in them. We go to these stores, and yeah, probably the white people go to the ones in their communities, but they're really not on every corner like it is ours. But every time I go past it or walk up in it, right, and get my little wine sometime, I always see who's in it, and it's people who look like me. So you can't tell me that we're not full of toxicity. We are intoxicated, right? Just from our food and the things that we drink and the things that we do and the things that we listen to. So how are you going to take these kinds of people, this kind of group, and sell them on the idea that, number one, you're traumatized. Number two, there's a deep-seated sense of self-hatred that's running rampant all through you. But you should buy property, though. That's not a viable solution at this point for most of us. So I wanted to make this video because I feel like a lot of our work is in our communities. Our work is on restoring our relationships with our brothers, our next door neighbors, and just caring, just lend a hand, right? The next time you see a Black woman struggling or a Black man struggling or needing help, or you notice somebody struggling, paying for the grocery or something, you got an extra, I don't know, $5, $10, take care of it, right? Help that old lady. Don't just walk past her. You see she's struggling. Right? Lift your brother up when you walk past him, right? Give that man a compliment. It costs nothing, but it has a ripple effect. And I think it's doing these small things. I know they seem small and inconsequential, but I don't think that they are. Like, I think these are huge. I think that if we continue to do little things like this as a community, we can slowly build up trust, slowly build up the humanity, where Ray Ray will start to look at Shoot 'em Up Tebow and be like, you know what, I probably shouldn't do that. I know his grandma. His grandma's really nice. Or, nah, my brother, that's like my brother. Like, we look the same. Like, we look the same. I probably shouldn't do that. Maybe, just maybe, it'll have a ripple effect and make us think twice. That's all I want us to do, is think twice. And then we could talk about pooling money, because how you gonna pool money with me? You don't trust me. You don't trust me. I don't trust you. And that's just natural in our community. It shouldn't be. That's like, we need to start seeing that as a side effect or a symptom of sickness. To not trust your kin, to not trust your family. I'm your family. I'm your sister. Remember me? I'm your sister. Give me your money so I could, we could own our block again. But you wouldn't trust that. You wouldn't trust that. And I mean, rightfully so sometimes. I don't know. But I think we need to start at a very restorative place. And then we could start having those higher conversations. So this video is not to discourage anybody from purchasing property. You got the coin, go get it. But again, I don't think that's a fix it. I don't think that's a panacea. I don't think that will magically fix all of our problems, or just because we have a little wealth. It's still very individual. You have wealth. We're still poor, right? And families control things, not individuals, right? And I'm not just talking about people with your last name, but I'm talking about people who look like you. Because if that was the case in the Amish community, the Jewish communities, the Asian communities, they would be all out for oneself. But no, they support businesses. They pool resources. They live together until it makes sense to get a different house. And that's another thing that we've been completely sold on as well. Like, it's a sign of doing well. When you're 18, you go to college and you go there for the 4 years and you get your own place and you never move back home and you're independent and then you find your man. And like that, I've been sold on that. And I look back like, damn, maybe I should have stayed home after college. Maybe I should have pooled my money. Maybe me and my cousins and all of us should have just stayed at the house. And maybe we'd be better off. But I think we're so... I think it's a very loaded situation, because I think a lot of us want to get away from home because there's toxicity there or there's stress there, right? Which we don't talk about, but that's also true. But again, back to the mental, because we're not addressing the right shit. We're leaving the house because our biggest aspiration is, oh, I'm gonna get my own thing. I got my own place, my own car. Cool. But how far have you gone just because you have your own place, your own apartment with a lease? Or you got your own house with a mortgage? But what about the rest of your family? Right? And outside of your family, like who you're actually blood related to, what about the rest of us? I feel like we used to have more of a collective mindset. We used to actually care what was going on with the people next door, up the street, down the road, and all that. And I'm not completely blaming us, because obviously there's so many things put in our way and so many systems, so many very strategic things put in place for us to really have our relationships break down, not just with one another, but with ourselves first. So now we're just seeing that externalized and manifested to where we don't even trust one another. But at the core of us, we are a very tribal focused people. And I feel like the more we get back to that, the more we trust, the more we start to honor each other like how we used to. I think ownership and less black on black crimes, healthier eating and all that will all be a natural consequence of a right thinking mind, a healthy mind, a respectful mind. And I just want us to start there with the little acts of kindness. So like I always say, this channel is going to be very solution oriented. No, I'm not going to say, let's put our money together, let's buy property. I ain't got it. Okay. I ain't got it. Not right now, not today, but I will. But as of now, for what we can do, say hi, smile, right? That's another thing. Some of us black women, including myself, sometimes I'll look at another black woman and I don't smile, right? Sometimes I'm in my own zone and I forget to smile, or I almost have a scowl. And I'm like, what is that with you? Why when I see my sister, why can't I just, and I've done that before, and I think I've got my feelings hurt because sometimes I don't get the reciprocity. Other times I will. Right. But for me, that's how I'm trying to do my little thing, is to teach my sister and let her know, like, no, I'm safe. I am you. Hey, girl, I see you. I acknowledge you. You're in the gym. I'm in the gym. Right. We have so many commonalities. Smile at your sisters. Smile at your brothers. Give them compliments. Help that old lady. Go check on, that old lady living at that house by herself. She needs help. Knock on her door. Ask her, does she need anything? Maybe you can do something bi-weekly. Right. Just to instill that and just understand, like, pay it forward. And I think those little tiny things help us tremendously. All right, so I know this video touched on a lot of very heavy things, and there's a whole lot to unpack in this video. It's just scratching the tip of the iceberg, but this was really on my heart. So if you have anything of value that you want to add to this conversation, please comment down below, because I feel like on certain videos, you guys really been talking heavy, and I love that because it makes me feel like I'm tapping into the right group. So thank you so much for watching, guys. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. It helps my channel grow. If it wasn't for you guys, my channel will be nowhere. So please, the only way we're going to get this message out is if you like, share, comment, and subscribe to my channel. So thank you so much, and I'll talk to you guys soon.